When I came to choose the things I'd talk to you about, the problem was not finding things which were failures, but what to leave out. After my research degree in Oxford, I wanted to get on with clinical medicine, the thing I'd gone to university to train for. So I went for clinical training in King's. And then I suppose my second failure I'll recount was I failed to get the house job I wanted. You were supposed to go to certain places, and I was banished to the West Country, to Plymouth, in fact, which had no history of any academic involvement at all. And I think that taught me another lesson, which is that you have to take the advantages of the situation in front of you. And there were real advantages. I got far more clinical exposure in that setting than my contemporaries who've remained in the elite places around the capital. And that stood me in really good stead as my career progressed. I ended up applying for a job as lecturer in medicine in Leeds. And I was duly interviewed and turned down. But on the walk back to get the train to the West Country, the professor of the department said, well, would you consider being the tutor in medicine? And I thought this was a bit second best, tutor versus lecturer. Surely the tutor is just somebody who teaches. And the message he gave me, which I think I've always since regarded as very important advice, is the name of the role doesn't matter. It's what you do in the role that counts. And so I took that role, and it turned out to be a very good move. I began to start my research career by applying the techniques I'd learnt during my research degree in animal studies to humans. So I formulated this hypothesis that the complications of diabetes, which are due to the damage to the smallest blood vessels, could be due to raised pressure within those vessels. Nobody had ever measured that. I worked up a technique to do so, and I was able to show for the first time that pressure was elevated. So I duly put my abstract into the Medical and Scientific Society of the British Diabetic Association to have it soundly rejected. Now, this was really devastating because I'd exhibited my passion, I'd formulated a view, I'd introduced a new technique, and all apparently for nothing. And I have to say, were it not for my wife and family encouraging me to keep going at that point, I would have very much, again, favoured giving up. And through that persistence, eventually that work ended up as a single author paper in Diabetes, which was at that time perhaps the most prestigious journal to publish such work. And I applied for a senior lecturer post, a consultant physician post in Exeter. 90% of the people I spoke to thought this was career suicide and couldn't see any opportunity in that environment. So again, I would urge you to see opportunity wherever it resides and take advantage of the environment you find yourself in. In fact, there were huge advantages. This was a research-naive environment. The fact that there was no clinical science meant that you had to interface with disciplines outside of conventional biomedical science, like engineering, physics, and so forth. So you get new perspectives on things. The large, stable population of the Southwest meant that it was easier to pursue cohort studies and build up some very interesting observations. And it worked. We scored the top score in the research assessment exercise in 1996. We built our own labs, we established charities to support the whole endeavour. So from adversity, it can drive you to actually succeed. Embrace new interfaces. Don't fear an unconventional route. Interdisciplinarity and interinstitutional collaboration will be the hallmarks of future success in academia, in my view, and you'll only get those insights by broadening out, by challenging yourself to take on new perspectives. Build your own network and support structures. Networking is incredibly important within this particular field, including, of course, the support structures that are personal to you. Very easy to convince yourself that your career can survive if only you tick all the career boxes, but you will need to draw upon your own friends and family support mechanisms.